Hi Adil.
Hello, sir. How are you doing?
Very well, Adil. Good to see you.
You too, sir. You too. What's happening?
Excellent. All good. Well, as you can see, what been up to every day,
Yeah,
and
yeah. I try to watch as many I can.
super. They've got some great stuff going on. A lot of guys coming and sharing a lot of great things, and we
Yeah,
are
yeah.
eagerly waiting for you to share everything that you've planned out in your career. And there is definitely a plan to everything that you do, and which I've
Mhm.
seen since you was first time I saw you was when I think you were what 9 years old when you came
Yeah.
to play a small event in Karma Lakelands or Tarudhan or one of those
Yes,
uh,
yes, yes.
with your father carrying for you. You played a match play tournament, I think, which you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. I remember that. So how's it been with you in Chandigarh?
Good, sir. Situation's getting better now. We hope that after 3rd May, one of the golf clubs might open.
Okay.
So that's a good thing. But I'm practicing at home, working out at the home, so not going out much. But still, I'm doing okay. I mean, better than most.
Lovely. And I see that you've got a lovely driving range in your house, in your backyard.
Yeah.
You've got TrackMan set up.
Yeah. Had some tried a few things out and finally had that structure the most efficient one.
Right, right. That looked fantastic. I mean, I think there must be an engineer in your house who does works on all these things. What do you say, Adil? Is there an engineer behind everything that you're planning going
Yeah, yeah.
on?
Right,
There
right.
he is. There's that engineer. That's the golf engineer now.
Yeah.
How you doing, Harry? All good?
Oh, wait, he can't hear you.
Oh, okay, okay. No, no, no. It's okay. How you
Sir,
doing,
good evening.
Harry?
Good evening,
Good
sir.
to
How are
see
you?
you. Good to see you, sir. I was saying that there must be an engineer in the house who's been planning and structuring all these. Definitely a structural engineer. And
Structural,
I think I hit.
the frame from the clothing side, the most fitted one. They didn't give us any reaction time to buy mat or you buy clothing or buy net. So we made. He has already into the pieces.
I lost your signal a bit over there. You said he has already, and then we lost it.
He has already tore away three Dunlop quilts and gaddas with the golf balls. So we don't have any quilt left for the next winters.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, Adil, the question now, I go back to Adil.
And
So, Adil, tell us a little bit about your golf journey and how everything started and how did you get into golf? A lot of people out there, a lot of junior golfers, lots of eyeballs on you today. So, they are all hungry to know exactly what you've done in your career and how you've planned it so meticulously well. You know what I'm saying? Because everything
so
is worked according to a certain plan in your system.
yeah, so I started golf when I was 4, and up till I would say 13 or 14, I played all like every sport I could, soccer, badminton, swimming, cricket, basketball, volleyball, whichever sport I could play. Then
Right.
at 13, I kind of like narrowed it down to golf. So it wasn't always that like when I started playing golf, I knew that okay, I'll be a professional golfer. It was at
Right.
13 that I felt, that I have, I think if I put in the work, I can be a world class golfer. So that was the time when I channelized all my energy, and I had to leave all the like the injury risk sports. So after 13, we laid out a plan. Everything was, consulted by professionals. We didn't go by, what we felt like just because it was easy. We had to take some hard decisions and had have some difficult journeys. But I think in the end, it's worked out pretty well.
So that's good to know, and we can see that it's worked out fantastically well for you. And you've also got your first pro win after you've turned pro, what I think last year itself only, and you've already
Yeah.
one win there. And but tell us something about these what you said hardships and hurdles that one needs to overcome in the junior or planning stage, which will make it easier for everybody to you know kind of follow in your footsteps.
I think for me it was like the main struggles which I had to go through. Like obviously everyone's journey is different, and no two people have the same
Right.
journeys. But the struggles I had to go through were made a lot easier in my mind before, because I knew that what my goal is. Like I was single-mindedly invested into it. So
Right.
that took care of all the distractions itself. Like, I mean, you see, when you're 13, 14, it's tempting, your friends are going out, or they are enjoying other things. At that point, it was
Right.
difficult to, just focus and play golf, wake up early, sleep early. But I think if you know it in your mind, like what you want to do, then it makes it a lot easier for you to commit to it. But
Right.
growing up, the biggest challenge was when I was a junior golfer, there was not like competition as there is now. Like now I see junior players, there are 100 children, 100 players in a tournament, even in like
Right.
B and C categories, like the smaller categories. When I
Right.
played,
Right.
there were like five or six. And so I always had to
True.
play in the upper category.
True.
So I think that was a blessing in disguise. So I always, I was used to compete with children 3, 4 years elder to me. So I
Right.
shaped my game according to them. I started working out quite early because, I wanted to match my strengths to their level. So I think that was a issue because we had less exposure. But thanks to my dad, we started playing international golf pretty early on. So I had a taste of what world golf looks like. Like, like every continent offers a different, even every country offers a different type of golf. So
Right.
at an
Absolutely.
early age, I'm very thankful to him that we played a lot of different countries and a lot of different golf courses. So the main thing which I learned in that period of time was that you shouldn't expect a course to suit your game. You make your game in such a way that it suits every course.
Right.
Like, I hear junior golfers, yeah, that course wasn't you know, my game doesn't suit that golf course. I mean, that's a completely wrong approach to have. So, like you practice in such a way that, you can adapt to anything. Like one day you're playing links golf in London, next day you're playing in Asia where there's no role. You still have to play. I mean, that's what pro life is all about.
Right. No complaints. Just go on and carry on and conquer the golf course any way, which way possible.
Exactly.
And
I mean,
so
golf is
definitely,
such a game, like there, no 2 days will be the same. Like I remember, even on the most predictable golf courses, like where that conditions will be like these, like it can't vary much. If the wind changes and entire golf course plays a whole different. So you have to have that skill set to adapt to anything.
so tell me, growing up in Chandigarh, how did you practice all these different various skill sets which are required to tame all these different kinds of golf courses? Did you kind of practice the same way, or how did you go about it?
Sorry, I didn't get that last question.
Basically, you said that we need a lot of skill set, different kinds of skill set to play different courses all across the world. So while you're staying in Chandigarh, I know you're
Yes.
based out of Chandigarh, that's your home, and you've always been there. So how did you practice these various conditions and the different kinds of feeling for different courses? Did you kind of simulate it in your practice, or when you practice say, going to Scotland, do you practice hitting low shots into the wind shots, something which rolls a lot? Did you do stuff like that, or how did you practice it?
Yes, definitely. I mean, Chandigarh is not only like we have Panchkula, we have Chandi Mandir, we have Forest Hill, we have Chandigarh, obviously.
Right.
So all these golf courses are, if you're smart enough, you can turn them into any course you want. Like Panchkula is a very hard course. So whenever I used
Right.
to play in Europe, I used to practice in Panchkula. Chandigarh is a soft course, so that Asia and American courses are kind of similar. And for greens were a bit of a issue because at max here the speed is about 10, like if it really polished and cut. But then I used to practice on the AstroTurf putting where
Right.
there's about 12 to 13. So I used to
So,
always simulate these kind of conditions at home. Like if it's if I'm going to play in the cold, so I used to wake up at 5 and go practice in the winters, through just to simulate that kind of environment. We can't do much at home, like at our home conditions, but you try to, do as much as you can.
But that's a very, very, very well put together kind of strategy that you just mentioned. You used to play on artificial grass because you wanted to match the speeds of the European or the Asian or the American greens. And then, of course, you also mentioned that you played Panchkula, obviously the course which rolls much more. Fantastic. I think you've kind of nailed it, and a lot of kids out there watching will understand that all this is possible if they travel around in the areas that they stay, kind of make conditions such as what they're going to face in the next tournament or next few weeks of their tournament rounds. So this is
Yeah.
very well done, Adil. And
Another
what
thing
else?
I would want to tell here is, so traditionally, like when I was a junior golfer, so we always used to play from the red tees, like even when I was 6, 7. So red tees were a lot farther ahead. But American and like the proper junior circuits which were at that time, they used to play much smaller courses.
Uh,
So I used to take out the scorecards. That I did this, even I do it sometimes, even at today, like when I have to prepare for a certain kind of course, I take out the yardages of the course I'm going to play. I practice the shots which I'm probably going to get on par fours, and I practice the par threes. I mean that you can do
okay,
anywhere. Like
right.
if at your home course your maximum longest par three is 180 yards, and the course
Right,
you're going to play has two par threes of 220 yards. So you
right.
shouldn't be that I couldn't have because you can play long shots into par fours. You can just put a tee in the fairway and have that simulation.
Right. Right. So you basically prepared. So there's a question which someone asked you, hey Adil, how did you prepare yourself before a tournament mentally, physically, and golf game wise? So the golf game kind of you've explained already. So mentally and physically, what do you do to prepare yourself for a tournament?
Physically, I think what works because physical is a very dynamic subject because every body is different. Everyone reacts differently to different environments. But I've kind of learned that my body behaves a certain way in certain countries. So if I'm going
Hmm.
to play somewhere really hot, I'll
Hmm.
intentionally put on some weight. So because
Okay.
I will sweat a lot, I will lose some salts and sugar. So I have that reserve backup.
Ah.
So small things like these help. Like I started working out like golf oriented at about 13. So that's, I think, was a pretty good age to get into the fitness side. So, and, I had great coaches, very intelligent coaches. They guided me through they took care of all my, physical weaknesses, what things I should work on. And fitness is something, you can never master. Like we see Rory and Dustin. I mean, they are extremely fit athletes and still they work out like they're not anywhere. So fitness is a never ending journey. And on the mental side, I think nobody really can teach you how to be, nobody can teach you how to think. You think
Right.
yourself, and that you think better with time. When you have lost, like you can't simulate the tournament pressure in practice, no matter how much you try, that the feeling of a match is at stake on the last hole, that will only happen when the match is at stake on the last hole. So
Right.
for junior golfers, try to play as many events as you can. Try to have that experience of what like losing a match, winning a match, because there's a fine line between winning and losing. And the more you get to experience both, like both are important. Like I've learned more from the tournaments I've lost than the tournaments I've won.
Well said.
So, just try to play as many events as you can, and slowly, slowly your mind will evolve. You can't just keep practicing 8 months and you'll play 6 events and, you'll think that, I'm mentally mature now. You have to keep testing your game, testing your mind regularly with the best players possible.
Right. That's fantastic. I mean, the way you put it together as if you've been playing for God knows how many years, at the highest level, but which you have been. I mean, if you've always been at the highest level in every single age group that you've been in, so I guess it would only be fair to say that you've been playing the highest level for at least 12 years.
Yeah.
Well done, well done. You know, a lot of guys are actually supporting you. I can see them writing a lot. Some people say that you're planning like an F1 driver, like a Formula One race driver, the kind of approach that you have. It's fantastic
Yeah.
to know that, all this is happening. Some of
Yeah.
the guys also are asking some advice that one of, I think, maybe a friend of yours, he says he's going to start serious golfing in Sydney.
Mhm.
Golfer on the run is what he calls him. Any tips on compulsorily what he can include compulsory in his training?
I think for new golfers, it's important, like for a golfer who just started out, I think
Right.
it's important to first develop a touch around 100 yards and in. Because I see golfers like I even some of my friends who I've brought to the range, the first instinct will let me hit drivers, let me hit the ball far. That's good for like fun. But if you intentionally want to pursue golf at any level, you should always start with short game, because it is because when people start to like they want to hit the ball far, obviously it's a great feeling, nothing beats a good long straight drive. But if you start with putting, if you start with the shorter clubs, like the error is less and you'll get disappointed less frequently. Because many people, they just start and within 2, 3 weeks, they like they quit it because it seems too tough or they get disinterested. But if you start with putting and short game, you'll slowly develop an interest to play the game for a longer time.
That's some great advice, Adil. I think, as I said, your head is a very experienced head on your shoulders. Uh, Another person, Arvind Kanshi, is asking, could you please share your experience of coaching and what kind of coaching you require to become a good player? And if possible, suggest some good coaches around Delhi. And of course, another quick question is, how do you select a coach?
Hmm. So I'll tell you my journey so far, like what my experiences have been. Um,
Hmm.
I've been I met with Jesse sir, the first day I went to CGA, and I've been lucky that I had such a good relationship with him from the start, and he knew what my game was, and the most important thing he taught me was he taught me the fundamentals of the game very solidly. So after a point, like after let's say when I was 16 or 17, when things started repeating itself, because after a point you don't learn something new, you just do all the things you learned more efficiently.
Revision, yeah, right.
Yeah, so I think your first, like first coach or first few coaches, they should have excellent fundamental knowledge of the game. Because if you don't understand the basics of the game, it's very hard for to get at the like a play at a higher level. Because at on tour, you must know like there are so many coaches, so many equipment companies. Try this, new swing techniques, what not. There is so much information on the pro level that if you don't know your basics, it's very easy to
Hmm.
get lost.
Right, right. You're
So I
absolutely
think
right.
the biggest thing Jesse sir taught me was that he taught me the basics of the game, and rest whatever we built upon that is immaterial. That can be different for everyone. But
Right.
I think your first coach has to be. I mean that responsibility lies on him. So I think doesn't really matter, if sometimes I've seen like many top players, they have stuck with their childhood coach. They don't need a high profile coach just because they've reached a higher level. Like McIlroy has stuck with his coach. But in many cases, players change their coach because they feel they have nothing left to learn from them. It's a very subjective thing, and
Right.
each player is different. But around Delhi, I mean, there are some excellent coaches like yourself. Even I came to you once and I learned about the
That's right.
TrackMan a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So
So tell us
I
a little
mean,
bit about TrackMan. Did you gain anything from TrackMan when you learned it, or did it change the way you looked at things?
I would say so. We bought the TrackMan when I was 16, I think.
Right, right.
And that is a very fragile age for a TrackMan. Like honestly, now looking back in hindsight, I won't recommend a 16-year-old to get a TrackMan because you can be greedy sometimes with the TrackMan because you have instant feedback. You have so many numbers to see that And when you watch a tour event, every shot is, like every drive or every iron shot, they show some numbers. So you want to have those numbers as fast as possible, like 185 ball speed, 125 swing speed. So you can get a bit greedy if you don't have that mental discipline. But I think what I would recommend is, so in the margin of error, like if your shot dispersion is about 3 degrees either side, like if you started missing inside 3 degrees consistently, then it's time for you to get a TrackMan. Because if you're missing it like 5, 6 degrees, if
No, it doesn't make sense.
it
You're
doesn't
right.
make sense. Because if you want, like, if like my mom always uses this example, like in sprinting the 100-meter sprint, like from coming down to 12 to 11 seconds takes like 6 months, but from
Right,
coming down to 11 to 10 seconds takes 6 years,
right, right.
and from 10 to 9.9, 9.8 takes like a lifetime. So even same, like you keep practicing. You should, the TrackMan is like the highest gadget there is, I believe. But you
Right.
should, if you're not at that level, you should test your game occasionally. But if you think you're really good and you are not getting to the next level, then it's time for, that can be the missing tool you require. But I wouldn't recommend, any golfer, just because they can afford it, to buy it, because it has a great upside, because, so much instant feedback and accurate information, but that can be a downside also very quickly.
Right. So another quick question from someone who's in the performance area also. He says, when I lose a tournament, it really discourages me. What should I do then when you don't get
Uh,
desired results?
So a mental exercise I did since when I was 12 or 13. I met like a yoga coach, and one thing he taught me, like he told me an exercise to do, which I still do till date, was on your best days, like even in general life, on your best days, when you're feeling flush, when you're feeling, today is my day, like today I'm the man, take a voice note, or write something down of why are you feeling like that, or why things are falling into place, what's the reason, anything, like that's your personal views. But do the same on your bad days as well.
Hmm.
So
Right.
you can have that abstract knowledge, what, like, because thoughts are a very gray area, like you can't, like it's very difficult to track down your own thoughts after a certain period of time. So whenever I lost a tournament, or whenever I felt that, like obviously losing is like one of the worst feelings in life, like nobody likes to lose, but try to learn, like I said, I mean, I've learned so much from my losses, like try to learn rationally, take the emotion out of your loss, like take anger and frustration away, and rationally write, like try to write down what went wrong, where can I improve. Because usually we don't pay much attention to our loss because it's associated with anger, it's associated with frustration, we're like we think about it, we get angry, like even after 2 3 weeks. So you have to learn to take out your emotion from those loss and think rationally, and discuss it with your caddy or your coach or your parent, anyone who is in your team, to what actually went wrong, where can I improve. It's a hard talk, if you have to be great at something, you have to make some difficult conversations, and this is a part of that.
Fantastic, Adil. I think that's some great piece of advice coming from you. And I think a lot of questions which came up on mental golf and stuff like that, and you kind of have answered those indirectly. But another one which is coming up, this is how does Virat Kohli inspire you for your game based on the handling of pressure? Did he ever inspire you?
Uh, so I've been associated with Virat Kohli Foundation for about 3 years now, and
Right.
he came at a very crucial time in my golfing career so far. He's been a great help. His foundation is absolutely, absolutely the right thing which I needed at the right time. But So he takes care of so he provides me with a nutritionist, he provides me with the physiotherapist, and he gives me like a like we quarterly discuss about my fitness and game goals. But apart from that, the mental part, has been huge. So whenever I go to Bombay to meet his team, so they make sure, because I was the first batch of the foundation, and we were only
Right.
4 people in that. So we have some, like, from the new kids, like we are the oldest, so they make sure we get to meet him every time I go to Bombay. We even had a couple of meals with him, and just hearing his journey of life, his struggles, it's so much relatable, like personally for me, because we kind of have the same stories. So for me, that's a major emotional and a mental boost, because you see someone who has made it in life, he's made it huge. I mean, I don't think, not because only I'm sponsored by him, but I don't think there's any better batsman or ambassador for the game of cricket right now. So I think learning how he carries himself, how he thinks, how he plays, I've learned so much from him. I mean, I can't really put it into words.
Well, you're in the shadows of a legend there, under the umbrella of that legend, and definitely you will become one as you go along in your career. And the best wishes to you. And I think you've just taken all the good things from
Thanks.
him. And he's such an inspiration to people, not only you, but an inspiration to a lot of people across India and the world. What he's done is phenomenal. And if you do something like that, Adil, I'll be coming and watching you at the Masters very soon.
Sure, 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 sir,
Uh,
sure.
and I definitely think that this is going to be, there won't be a day very far away when you'll get there.
Yeah.
So, Tarun Sardesai sir is asking you personal questions, so I'm not going to come to that. He said, why are you so fair and lovely? What's the secret? Say it's the lockdown.
Yeah, all I'm doing is drinking water. So,
Okay, now another question from a dad of or a parent of a junior golfer. How do you want the young 11 to 13-year-old golfers go about as golf when they want to make it a profession? How do they balance their studies and golf, and how do they go along?
so I would answer this that, see, the first responsibility is obviously of the player. Like, dad always told me that, you can take the horse to the water, but the horse has to drink the water. No matter how, like, no matter if you live in the best city, you train with the best coach, you have the best academy. Like, if the player doesn't want to play, after a point he will quit. If it's forced, if it's not natural, if it's not like self-induced. So first the player has to make a decision, like either black or white. That, if I have to play this game, I will put everything, then everything falls into place. So in my journey, my school was very supportive of my game
Mm-hmm.
till since the beginning. I mean, since when I think when I entered fourth grade, like I changed schools after that, and they've been very supportive. I've had a great relationship with my friends who help me with studies, because it's hard at that, even at the smaller level, it's hard managing sports and studies. I've been there. I know what that pressure feels like. You want to do something, but there are just not enough hours in the day. But then you have to build your team, you have to build your circle, that you have to rely on people who you can trust to take care of the things which you are missing out on. But if you mentally know that, if I want to play this game, everything will fall into place. You just have to make smart decisions, and trust is very important. If you trust the right people, they'll take good care of you.
Right. So any aspiring junior golfer who's there who wants to turn professional should kind of follow this kind of advice that you're giving out, Adil. And
I'm sorry,
another
I didn't
important
get that.
question coming up.
Yeah,
Well, it's
yeah.
no, no. I agree with what you're saying. That's what I was saying.
Okay, okay.
Uh, so another question coming out. This is from another teacher. He's also a very successful teacher in the south, in Bangalore. Tarun Sardesai. Has it been easy having your dad around so much, I know he has played a pivotal role like your development, but he is still your dad at the end of the day. So I'm going to ask this to you, Adil, but I will definitely go to your dad and ask him a lot of questions after I'm done with you. But what do you say to this question? Be having your dad around, how easy has that been, or has it been a little difficult or uncomfortable, or has it been hunky dory and absolutely fine?
So I would say till I would say till when I was a junior, or because I only played amateur golf for 1 year when I was 17. I turned pro at 17. So I think when I was a junior and amateur, things are different. Like your perspective about the game is different. Like when I qualified for the Asian Games, and I made a deal with him. All the events before the Asian Games, I'll go alone because I never went alone, and I'll go with the team because like amateur golf, there's not at stake in reality if you think about it. There's just like experience at stake. So, but when I turned professional, like my whole perspective changed, because like professional golf was so much different than I expected. It's not just, you play, you go there and you play. It starts like at least a month back, tickets, hotels, your clothes, you have to do your laundry, food, caddies, there's so many things which take place apart from playing golf. So I think when I turned pro, very quickly I realized that I wouldn't be able to do all the things which he does at myself at that time with the resources we had at that point. So very soon, the role switched. I wanted him to come, and he slowly started saying, "Oh, you go, you can local tournament, you just go and play." I was like, "Nini, you should come because it's." So when I was a junior, it was completely opposite. I always told him, I'll go alone, I'll go with him, or I'll go with friends, I'll share a room. But when I turned pro, the perspective completely changed. So I
Right.
think that was, I don't know how it happened, but it did. But I think our professional and personal lives were very like we had a very good understanding about we didn't talk about golf at home. So we had a good line, which separated the professional and the personal relationship. So that's why we've kept a healthy relationship. Like, many parents or many children would think that, he's very strict on me or he doesn't let me, be a normal kid. But that was, in hindsight, that wasn't as much as they thought. Like, it looked very strict, it looked very disciplinary because I wanted it to be like that. So it was not like again, like it was anything wasn't forced. Like I told him to be hard on me because I wanted to, be like disciplined because I knew that at 13, 14, like no matter how mature you are, you cannot have that sort of discipline which a 18-year-old has. So
Right, of course.
from home, I had that mindset if I need help in something, I should tell him what I want, and his job is to, actually do that for me. So it wasn't forced at all. I mean, I used to tell him, like make things as difficult as you can. Our practice sessions were so hard. Like I would hit a ball to 5 feet, and still he wouldn't be happy because I had told him that, I want that 3 feet circle. So I mean, small, little things, but I was the one who told him, be as hard as you can, train me the hardest you can. That's why,
Right.
that's why I took everything in a positive way because, like, if it was opposite, like, if he had forced his harshness on me, if I wasn't ready to accept that, then so, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even know where things would have gotten. But I
Yeah.
think I had that vision when I was younger that, because I saw international players like their coaches, I mean 13, 14-year-old kids, I mean they're literally crying on greens, their coaches are shouting, screaming, like those putting drills, like if you make 10 putts of 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, like they've spent 3 hours. And so that was the kind of training I was exposed to, and I knew that if I train like that, or if I don't train with that intensity, I mean, I'll just be an average golfer.
Wow. That's a very cool insight into the relationship that you have with your dad. And I think this is something that a lot of children out there, coaches and parents are looking at, and they'll also understand exactly where you're coming from because you actually have demarcated and put both relationships in its place, and you understood that at a very young age. And well done, Adil. And I think you are where you are, and your dad's still with you and around and traveling and loves doing the things to help you. Because I know that, it's not that he feels burdened. He actually can give up everything just to be with you. And I know
Yeah.
that much about your dad, that no matter what you do to him, his worst feeling would be ever if you ever say no to him. Don't come to
Yeah.
him. He's so much in love with you that, he cannot leave you for that little while also.
Yeah.
But which has helped you, like you said, that if you hadn't understood that and kind of recognized that at an early age, you wouldn't have been where you are today. And that's such a great thing to give to your dad, such a great reward to give to your dad, because all parents try their best to stay with their children and support their children. And here's a child giving back to the dad, saying that no, I understood that he was important for me, and that's brilliant. Well done, Adil. Well done. So next question comes to you is how many hours of practice do you give at golf at the age of 14 when you were 14? How much do you now? How much practice do you do now? And how do you make a practice routine based on the things that you have to work on? Also, I'll kind of summarize a lot of other questions together because there's so many questions people want to ask you, Adil, that even Instagram can't keep up with because they're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So another one which has come up, I mean, they're all the similar things. Similar things that how do you recover from a tournament performance which has not gone as you had expected? That's something that you've already covered. And another thing is with your achievements, you have been able to secure and support. I mean, you've been able to secure support from people like Virat. But what is your advice do you share for a 16-year-old junior golfer in having a professional coach, fitness, nutrition, psychological help? Basically people are asking that, there's a little bit these are a lot of things to do at 16. Do you think it's important, Adil, that people should practice so much or have a fitness coach, have a nutrition coach, have a psychological coach? Are these important? Do we need it? Stuff like that.
So, um, I'll take this step by step.
Yeah.
First, I think if you just practice golf at, let's say, 14, like if you just stretch and just like move up for 2-3 minutes, and if you don't have proper knowledge of fitness and you're just practicing golf, like let's say 4 hours a day, which is decent amount of time, but when you suddenly enter amateur or suddenly start playing pro, you realize that the pros they're practicing 3 hours, they're working out 2 hours, meditating for an hour in the morning, and then having proper knowledge of nutrition. So suddenly you'll be like, oh my God, like I've never done this. So it's very important to have a balance around these things from a young age. So when I was 13, I think, yeah, when I was 13, I think, yeah, when I entered my teens, fitness was something which came naturally to me. I was very athletic, because I played all sort of sports. I had that strength, I had that flexibility from an early age. So shifting that like raw strength to golf strength wasn't that difficult for me because I already had decent amount of body coordination. I had good strength. I was very lean as a kid, but still, I mean, I played everything, so I had that natural ability to natural flexibility and natural strength. So fitness wasn't a difficult transition for me. The difficult transition was nutrition and recovery, because as a kid, I mean, I was very active. I used to wake up at 5 and sleep at like 11 and play throughout the day, whatever I could: tennis, golf, cricket, football, cycling, working out.
Right. Right.
So recovery and diet were the main, like they were actually very, like they are the easiest to now because, it requires the least effort. But back then it was so difficult, like, you have to eat the right things, and you have to, do things for recovery which you wouldn't casually do because they seem a bit you have to they have to be instilled in your daily life. But
Right.
now I feel that if I hadn't done those stuff at a young age, now when I suddenly went to the Asian tour, everyone has a physio, everyone has a nutritionist, they're eating like like healthy stuff during the round. Their mental energy is so much greater than any average player that they have so much like because at that level, even if you have like a 1% of edge over someone, that makes a huge role. Like one stroke is too much to ask for, and you have
Right.
to do so many things to just catch that one stroke of someone. So I think
Right.
it's important to have a balance. So when I was 13 14, I used to practice around 5 hours, and I felt like, honestly, I felt that I'm practicing more and I'm gaining less results because I came from school straight to CGA, hit balls, chip, putt, bunker, iron play, and I used to come home at 8. And but still I felt that like the work I'm putting in is not going anywhere. Like
Something's
the
missing. Yeah.
something's missing. Yeah. So then we sat down. We saw, I talked to some of the pro players. Okay, I'm doing this stuff. Where do you think I can improve myself? Where do you think I have? Because everyone was like, you have potential. You have potential. I'm like, potential. The results kahan hai? So, so I always wanted to, because I had that instinct, if I want to do something, I should be the best at it. That was my mindset
Right.
from the beginning. So, and
Right.
I was willing to do whatever it takes. So we sat down, we consulted experts in each field. I mean, I know it's difficult now because they have but now it's actually, if you take it in the positive way, it's actually easier because internet is like so much knowledge around the internet. Like you can see so many things about nutrition. You can like, if you follow the right pages or websites, fitness, golf fitness, there's so much knowledge on golf fitness, like which I don't think even the like an average gym instructor would know in India. Like if you go to a commercial gym, like he won't know any golf specific exercises or golf specific stuff. There's so much information on the internet which you can look through. You can learn a lot from the internet actually. But I started doing meditation at an early age. That was really helpful because it takes 10 minutes to clear your head. But those 10 minutes go a long way in your day.
Right.
Like in hindsight, like let's say since the past 5 years, I've been meditating for 10 minutes each day. And do like little stuff, if you do each day, that adds up to a big day. So I think it's important to get a feel of what a balanced pro life would be like. If you're 13 14 years old, ask a decent professional golfer, like if someone you respect, you look up to, like if you want to be like him, ask him what all he does. So you have a feel of, you just, because at 13, it's boys and girls, they talk with their peers, oh yaar, chill मारते हैं, like क्या करना है fitness, like golf खेलते हैं. It's very easy to do all those things, but it takes a lot of discipline to, manage fitness, manage studies. Studies at that point is very important, and you have to manage your diet, you have to manage your recovery, you should sleep at time, you should wake up on time. Sometimes in a week it's okay, like if you want to stay up late, that's a part of growing up, but that should be the occasion, not the regular part. So I think depends on how badly you want it. Like if you want it badly enough, you will find your way around things.
Right, absolutely. Super, super stuff, Adil. I mean, you're kind of speaking from your heart over here because I think everything that you're saying is something that you've done and very well spoken, as Vani said over there. I think it's excellent the way you're going. And Tarun also agrees from Bangalore that, you're a very smart person and you definitely have a lot of places that you will be going to in the future. And that's Tarun sir also giving you that thing. And so another question comes up, um, before we run into some other questions. How does a young budding golfer know that one is ready to turn pro? Is there, now this is me talking, I mean, that was a question by Shiv Mohan from Calcutta. But is there something where a golfer has to know that he has turned pro, or does he want it really bad, like you said? There is no formula that, okay, I've done this, so is there I'm going to turn pro, or is there my desire to turn pro is more important? Which one do you have to go